Hello and welcome to another video of Microsoft Fabric, and in today's video we are going to discuss how to load data in Lakehouse using data pipelines. So to doing that, I'm going to jump onto my Power BI service, and in Power BI service I have opened using app.powerbi.com. Now hopefully you have signed up for the Fabric trial, or if you have the capacity you have enabled it. So you have to sign it up and then you have to enable it using these settings which are available under the admin portal. Now for today's experiment I'm going to create a new lake house also, because my current lake house which I have, I've loaded quite a few things few times, so I would like to have a new one for this one. So what I'm going to go to do is I'm going to go to my workspace first of all. So I click on the workspaces which is on the left hand side, and in that one I'll go to my workspace which is 01 Fabric, which is a trial workspace, and it's showing a diamond like a Fabric premium one, the Fabric workspace. And here I'm going to click on the new, and inside the new I need to click on show all to go to the all the options, and there I'll get an option to create lake house. So I click on show all and I go here and I click on lake houses to create a new lake house. And this lake house I'm going to give lake 02 is my lake house which I'm planning to create today, and I'll say create. Now this will immediately create a lake house, and it will also open the lake house where I can see what files or tables I have, and right now it would be blank because this is the first time it is opening after creation. Also this will create a SQL endpoint, the read-only SQL endpoint, as well as the data set, which are also going to be empty right now. Now you can see a new pipeline option in the middle of the screen, just like you might have seen similar kind of options in the Power BI desktop, means whatever options are available there. And then very similar to Power BI, you have a get data here where you have the new pipeline, and this is the option which we are going to use today. And those of you already notice on the right hand side we are getting messages that successfully created SQL endpoint. It means the lakehouse has been created. Now the SQL endpoint is also been created. Now we are going to click on this new data pipeline, and in this new data pipeline I'm going to name it at, let's say, data from, because I'm going to bring the data from Git to Lake PL pipeline, and I'll say create. Now to get the data from the Git, I will go to my Git account, which is basically github.com Amit Chandak PBI/Power BI. This is my account, and in this one I have already loaded a CSV file which also you can use. And the reason I'm doing that if you are practicing what I'm doing, you should be able to get the same stuff. So here I have created one file, retail data fabric.csv, which I plan to load. And once you click on, you can get a URL from here, but I need to change blob with raw. I need this raw data, so for that I'll right click on the raw data, and there I'll say copy link, and that will give me the raw data link. And the only difference would be instead of blob it will be raw. Now my copy data has already opened, and inside the copy data I would like to choose the option HTTP. When I click on, I will click on HTTP option, which you can see in the middle. Let me highlight that. And then I'll press next. After that, I'll choose a file name, and because I loaded this file in the past, I'm hoping that it will take the existing connection. So once you create a connection, now this is little bit different in Microsoft Fabric. The moment you take something, it will create a connection, and the similar kind of things comes again, it will try to take the same connection. So same connection details would be there. But if you're doing it for first time, it will require anonymous in case of authentication, because we don't need to authenticate there. That's the option you have to choose. Now then you can press next, and in the next step it should detect what kind of file it is, and we don't have to change anything here. We don't have a relative URL method. Let it be get. In the next one where we have to see preview, the first row as a header, we should check if it is not checked. Now line feeds also, you have option like uh, and default and or and whichever you want to choose, you can choose that, and you can also say preview data. Now once you do the preview data, you should be able to see what data you have, and it should match with this data which is having order ID, order date, item ID, category, subcategory, subcategory, brand, unit price, quantity, discount percentage, unit cost, delivery date, city, state, location ID, order type, payment method, and customer ID. And there's no compression type we need here. We will press the next button, and then it will ask to choose a destination, and the destination we will choose is our lake house. We will press next and lake 02. Now sometime it may not ask, by default it will take. So if it is doesn't ask, it's showing lake 02 or whatever lake you have created, that's also fine. Okay, now the table name I will give here, I'll give it as this retail. That's the table name. What I want, append action or overwrite? I want an overwrite option, and the reason for that overwrite option is because every time I load this file, there is no data change which is happening. So that's why I need overwrite option. Or if your file is always going to have additional data along with the initial data, you need to overwrite. If it is going to have a new data, then you need to use the append option. So your options are here. We need to say table. I want to load as a table because I want the things to be converted into Delta Parquet and should be shown me as a table, not as a file. I don't want it as a file because tables are something which I can use immediately and can use my SQL endpoint as well as my Power BI dataset. And overwrite is the option I'm using. Oh, I clicked on that, so I need to do that step again. So let me quickly do that. Don't press escape on this UIs. Retail, next, and start the transfer immediately. Don't do that. I typically don't prefer because I would like to validate my pipeline. Is there any error or all those things? So the moment you come back, you will see there is a copy data, this thing. You just click on that, and sometime it doesn't appear. You in the corner you have this option. You can use this option, change size, and it should show it in the middle. So all the components which are there should come into the middle, so you can use that. Click on that, check out the source. They should be same, so I can see my retail data fabric is my source. Delimited. Okay, if you want to preview the data, you can preview it just to make sure that header is header. Anything you want to change, you can still change. You have an opportunity. That's why I did not say run immediately. Destination, that's my destination. Edit means you can edit the table name. There are advanced options like append, maximum rows per file, and maximum concurrent connection. Then we have mapping. This is something which is missing, and this is what I want to click here and use import schemas. Now this should give me all the columns, and it requires some data type changes. So I'm going to do those changes. So order ID for me is in64. So I'm going to use that in 64. I'm fine with the data type of item order date. No, I'm also not fine with that. I'll go to make it date time. Then item ID, I'm going to make it as in64. Category, subcategory, subcategory, brand is all fine. Unit price need to be double. Quantity need to be in 64. Discount need to be double. Unit cost need to be double. Delivery date need to be date time. City, state, string, location ID in 64. Order type string, payment method string, customer ID string. just check, it is showing some warning, and because it's showing some warning, and I know I have faced this issue in the past. So for the customer ID and for last few columns, I'm going to go and delete some of those. So I'm going to check out in each and every column, there should not be anything, and if required I'll press a backspace and create it, especially in the customer ID if you are using this file. Okay, things seems fine, it's still giving the warning, so we'll see are we able to resolve all of them or not. Now this seems fine to me, I go to settings, this also seems fine to me, so I keep myself on this page and I say validate, and it's showing your pipeline has been validated without error, if you can see on the right hand side. I'll save it, and saving my pipeline, if you remember we have given the name initially, and now I'm going to run it. Now it will start showing the message on the top, and it will start appearing below also. So we are waiting that message to shift gears, and right now on the top, if you see in the notification, you are seeing it, and now yes, it's appearing here below, and by the time it appeared, it actually has finished. So you can see the message here, which is the output. We could have clicked on output a little bit earlier, and you can see it succeeded, it copied the data within 17 seconds. Okay, this was the run ID, unique run ID, this is the run time, start time, and activity was copy data, status is succeeded. So we are hoping that we will see a table now in our lake house, lake 02. So let's see, where is our lake 02. Let me go to workspaces, fabric, and we would like to go to lake 02, and this is our lake 02, the newly created lake house. SQL endpoint and data set, always create three things. And see, I have created lake house, but they are automatically created, and that's why it is not showing that I have created them. Now I'm expecting a table here, sometime it takes little bit time, so it shows unidentified. The thing there is, you just refresh it, or you just wait and refresh it, you should get it. So now I got my retail table, I'm just trying to preview the data, I'm able to preview the data, seems fine to me, and I would like to query it, and I also like to create a model around it. So for that, I would like to go to SQL endpoint. The way is I can go to my workspace, and from there I can go, or there's an option on the top right. I have an option to go to SQL endpoint, which I'm going to utilize right now, and I'll reach my SQL endpoint. I will just query this table and see some data is there, and then we will also like to see what else we can do in Power BI with this data. So I right click, new query, and select top 100 rows. And it has given that, let me select this and run it. Or I can modify, and the reason I take out this is basically it give me all the columns, and I can simply write down some query. So I'm going to write it down, say quantity, remove everything else. So we have this, and then we can say sum of quantity as quantity. I by mistake press or enter, which is uh, because in Power BI when we write down the formula, we have habit of pressing that alt enter or shift enter, which allows us to, there is some mistake here, so we correct this. We can rename this as quantity itself, and let's run this query. So we are expecting the aggregated data, and let's keep this aggregated data. Now one more thing which I wanted to do is basically I wanted to get a date table. Now I already have a date table in one of my other lake houses, and I would like that, can I use that to bring in here. So I click on a new SQL query and I say select star from lakehouse demo lakehouse demo1 dot dbo dot date 1. Okay, let's see does it query that table. Otherwise we'll go to the lakehouse and see. Okay, so we do have the table, and what I'm going to do here is basically I'll press enter and I say create view, and this is lakehouse. We are trying to create a view in the lakehouse as name, and we are going to call it date tab as. It's showing error, but I'm expecting that it will create a view. Okay, it do show error but in the statement, but it should create a view. And to do that, let's click on these three dots, and oh, before even I could have done that, it actually shows me the date table. So I have a date table, and we can create views. That's another important thing you should remember. Though it's a read only, but you can still create views. Okay, so I need these formula, isn't it? Quantity multiply by price, gross, all those I can get it in a view. But I can do one more thing. I can create a measure. So I'm going to create a gross measure at least. And this time I have not done any calculation, so I'm going to do it here in the measure. So I'm going to say gross. Let me try. Yeah, this is something which keep on happening. I think few users are also reporting this. SumX, retail, quantity, multiply by unit price. I think one measure should do right now, but what we need to do is we need to create relationships between these two tables. So we need to go to the model view, and the option for the model view is lying below here. I click here, I go to the model view. I would like my date to be joined with the date sales date, and so I found out my order date basically here. So I have order date, I go ahead and join this. Many to one, single directional. The relationship is created. Then I have a month year column here. Let me open this one. I just wanted to see if I can sort the month year column. I have the column tools, if you can see on the top here. And there I'm going to go and say sort by column as month year sort. So I should be able to use that also. Now I will just go and create one Power BI report and see if I can quickly analyze this data. So to do that, what I need to do is I'll come back to the query view and data view, and there in the data view I have options. So data view is below here. We have an icons for data view, query view, and the model view. So in the data view we have option for new report, and I'm going to click on that. I'm going to create a new report here. So quickly I want to do two analysis. First, if you remember, we have done some category wise analysis. So I would like to bring in category. I would like to bring in quantity. It's already sum of quantity, and this one gross. You can see how quickly this data has come. Now I would also like to see if I bring in month year, gross. Okay, the same data is coming, and you can see how quickly this analysis has come out. So we are able to create these analysis, and we can create n number of analysis, whatever we used to do in Power BI, by creating set of measures and playing around with different kind of visuals. So there's no limitation how much we can do here. So let's save this now report, and we'll call it DP, data pipeline retail report 01. Let's save this. So now what we are able to do here is basically from the data pipeline, we are able to get the data, we are able to create the model, and we are able to do end-to-end analysis using the data pipelines. So why don't you go ahead and try this out, and do let me know what else you want me to cover in this particular series. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you.